Hey, this is Bishop George Johnson Jr., and you were born to win. I don't care what you're going through. I don't care what you're experiencing right now. I don't care how challenging or how difficult it is. I don't care how many times this week you have lost. I want you to know that you were born to win. How do you know, Bishop? How do you know I was born to win? Because the Bible says this is the victory that overcomes the world, even our faith. For I know the thoughts, the plans I have for you, the thoughts of good, not of evil, to give you, yes, you, an expected end. Why? Because you were born to win. There are a nation of people waiting to hear your testimony. There's a nation of people waiting to hear how you came out. There's a nation of people waiting to hear the victory that you're going to experience. That's why you can't quit. Don't stop. You were born to win. This is Bishop George Johnson Jr. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We got an amazing word for you on today. You know, we always tell you, here's what we say. My wife and I, we always tell you guys, we say, hey, listen, pastors, preachers do not get discount tickets, right? We always tell you guys that. We say, we do not get discount tickets. We have to fight the same devil. We have to fight the same enemy that everybody has to fight. A lot of times people feel like, well, you know, preachers, they don't go through anything. Pastors, they don't have any challenges. They don't have any difficulties. Well, I want to show you what happened today, right? I'm not going to go into all the details of it and everything like that. But today, I went to the doctor. Get your physical. Man, get your physical. I know this is Father's Day. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later in the program. I'm sorry about that, Lord. I kicked the camera. We're going to talk a little bit about that later on in the program. But this is Father's Day, gentlemen. Man, get your physicals annually. You need to be here for your family. They need you. You are vital. You are important. So you need to make sure you be here. So make sure you take care of your health, make your health a priority. But I'm in there waiting to see the doctor, right? And I'm just waiting. You know, everything's went. You know, the doctor I go to, he do a very extensive exam on me. He's checking all the stuff. He checks my heart. He put me on this machine and he checks my heart. Make sure that everything is beating right. Make sure, you know, all things is going right. And thank God I'm in divine health. Thank you, Jesus. My test came back great. So I get off the machine, you know, and I go to sit down in the other room to get the results of my annual physical. And then I get a phone call and my wife says this. And whenever your wife says this, guys, you already know it's going to be bad. Whenever they say, hey, listen, I don't want to make you upset. Whenever my wife leads with that, whatever's coming after that, I know it's about to go from 0 to 100. So she said, hey, listen, I don't want to get you upset, but we just got a phone call from the school. I'm like, what school? I mean, what's going on? So my kids are in camp over the summer, and this is what happened to my baby boy. Look at him. You see him right there in a wheelchair. Yes, yes, yes. He got majorly injured at a camp today. And look at my wife sitting there holding him. She wanted him to sit in her lap. I believe she really did. I believe she wanted him to sit in her lap so she can cuddle him. But listen, we don't get discount tickets, guys. The same devil that you guys have to fight, the same enemy that's trying to stop you from moving forward in the dream that God has called you to move in, it's the same devil that fights us. The same one. But I know one thing. I was born to win. So I'm so excited about this week. You know why I'm excited about this week, guys? Do you know why I'm excited about this week? I can hear you asking that question. Bishop, why are you excited about this week? Because of this right here. That's right, baby. It's Father's Day, baby. It is Father's Day. You right. Celebrate your man. Celebrate us, guys. Listen, I'm telling you, go all out. It's Father's Day. We deserve you. Do you ever hear this? That's one of my favorite songs too. You deserve it. I wish I could sing. I wish I could sing. You deserve it. You deserve it, guys. You deserve to be celebrated. Make sure they celebrate you. Don't take down, because you know what? They start early for Mother's Day, and I'm starting early too. Tomorrow's Friday. I'm starting tomorrow. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3-day weekend. Celebrate me for Father's Day. I'm so excited about it. Even my baby that's injured, I'm gonna say celebrate me with your good leg. That's right. I know the other one's messed up, but celebrate me with the good leg. Hop on the good one and celebrate me. Anyway, so we call this Father's Day Funny Stories, but they're full of wisdom. Funny stories, but they're full of wisdom. And I vacillated back and forth which story I should tell you on this one. So I'm gonna tell you this one. I'm gonna tell you one about my father, because that's my dad. I'm gonna tell you one about my father on Sunday. So I'll tell you about this one. So this story comes from Apostle Calvin Washington. And so Apostle Calvin Washington was my spiritual father, and he helped birth me in the ministry. He ordained me as a bishop in the Success Factory Alliance. I was over the Southeast region for a long time. I served faithfully for about 15 years as a bishop in the Success Factory Alliance. I've recently, stepped down from that responsibility, and my wife and I now we've launched full on into Success Factory Network, and so now we're standalone ministry by ourselves. But he told me this story, and the story it is so funny, but it's full of wisdom. So he talks about the story when he was in college. And he said when he was in college, it was a guy that was about 4 feet, 11 inches tall. So he's in college, full grown man, but he's only 4 feet, 11 inches tall. So everybody else around him is taller. So he said he was at the party. Everybody's having a good time. Everybody's wonderful. He said, but he saw this huge, big football player pushing his girlfriend, not the 4'11" guy's girlfriend. He didn't have a girlfriend, but the football player's girlfriend. He was being physically abusive to his girlfriend. And the 4'11" guy looked over and he saw that. And he said, he became really upset. Now, you got to understand, my Apostle Washington went to Prairie View A&M University, and this was during the time when Prairie View A&M, well, they're good now, but I went through a time when I was in high school, Prairie View A&M University wasn't that good in football. But they are, at this time, they were a really, really, really good football team. And so he said that the football team used to go around, and they would just bully people. They would just bully people on campus all the time. And so this was around the time that they were just bullying people. And he said that he was just being mean to his girlfriend. He said that guy who's 4 feet 11 tall, and he said this was a big old defensive lineman type guy. And he said, he told that guy, he said, hey man, take your hands off that girl. And everybody in the party looked around. They said, who is saying that? Who is talking loud? And he said, the guy got louder. Hey, you heard what I said? Take your hands off this girl. So everybody looked around and said, but when they looked around, because everybody was talking, they said, surely it couldn't be come from this 4'11" guy. And guess what? That's who was making all of the noise, the 4'11" guy. Here he is hollering, hey, man, take your hands off of this girl. So the football player said, what? I'm finna knock this guy out. He said, so, but as the 4'11" guy was walking towards the big defensive tackle, he said it seemed like visually, it seems like visually that the 4'11" guy, the louder he talked, the taller he got, and the smaller the 4'11" guy. I mean, the big football player got. He said because the guy was not at all moved by how big he was. And so the football looker, he turned around and he showed his chest and he said, the 4'11" guy said again, didn't you hear what I said? Take your hands off that girl. And he said he started walking and talking. And my apostle said the more he walked, it seemed visually now, he was really getting taller. He said the football player started shrinking and the 4'11" guy became louder and louder and louder. He said then he got closer to the football player. He grabbed a chair, stood up in the chair, and told the football player, I'm big as you is now. I told you, take your hands off that girl. And do you know that football player shrunk and walked away? Bishop, what is the wisdom in that story? The wisdom in that story is this. Sometimes in life, you're going to be facing the bullies of challenges. It's going to seem like it's bigger than you. That debt, it seems like it's bigger than you. That relationship problem, it seems like it's bigger than you. That job situation, it seems like it's bigger than you. That crisis, it seems like it's bigger than you. But here's what the word says. The Bible says, greater is he that is in us than he that is in the world. The Bible says that no weapon that is formed against you will be able to prosper. And I believe that if we take a lesson from that 4'11" guy and we talk louder and talk more forceful and we look the devil in his face and said, take your hands off of everything that belongs to me. And I believe that we'll become bigger and our problems will become smaller. Got a powerful word for you guys. How do you identify manhood identity in crisis? We're calling this one's What a Real Man is Like. What is a real man like? But let's review before we get into this, because when I opened this lesson on last week, I started off talking about a lady that was at a rally, and Minister Louis Farrakhan was up speaking. And the lady raised her hand at the age of 50 years old, and she asked the question. She said, how will I know a real man when I see one? I told you it was two pressing things that were really puzzling about that. Number one, here this woman is 50 years old, do not know what a real man looks like. So up until the age of 50, she has not experienced anything that looks like a real man. The other side of that is we allow the world to identify what a man looks like because we really don't have a clear picture of what a man is supposed to be. And I told you the world identifies a real man by the four B's. And we said the four B's was the ball field, the billfold, the bedroom, and the brawler. The ball field, if he could run the football, hit the home run, what he has to be an athlete in order for him to identify as a real man. We call him the man. That's the man because he can knock the ball out the field. He can run touchdowns. And we somehow identify manhood around athletics. The next one was the billfold. Every time sometimes it's amazing. If I haven't seen a person in a long time, and when I start talking to them, they immediately start telling me about how much money they make or how much they've accomplished in life because we somehow as manhood has identified being a man by how much money we make. How much money you make does not make you a real man, but we've identified the billfold as a staple of being a real man, and it's not a staple of being a real man. The next one was the bedroom. How many women have you slept with? Are you laying it down in the bedroom? Are you really, really the man? And sometimes we have looked at manhood as their sexual parts. If a man got big feet, that means something. If a man got big hands, that means something. If a man got small hands, that means something. If a man got little feet, that means something. And we've identified a real man by these characteristics that are sexual. And the next one was the brawler. Here you have a man that is very intelligent and he doesn't want to get into fisticuffs. He can talk his way out of a situation. Or why is it that every time, this week I was working out in the gym, and yeah, I've started back working out in the gym, and I was getting dressed and a gentleman was doing the floor. Now I was there first and I was going through my bag, just listening to my headsets. And the man brought the thing he was doing the floor by my bag, hit my bag, pushed my bag. And when I looked up, he had the look in his face as if he wanted me to challenge him. Why is it that we as men feel like we have to beat up each other or we have to be this brute in order for us to be a real man? And the man that walks away is seen as the coward and not the wisdom. Why is that? My grandmother told me something years ago. She said, the most wisest thing you can do is to say, there he go, then there he lay. Sometimes you need to walk away from a child. Walk away. Who do you? I was listening to a comedian this week, and the comedian was talking, and it made so much sense to me because the comedian had dead time, and he was talking about how he had disciplined his son because his son talking about, I ain't gonna be no snitch. Let me explain the story, and then we'll get into the message. What happened was the comedian's son was driving a car. They got pulled over by the police. The drugs in the car, which was marijuana, did not belong to his son. His son said it. He said, it didn't belong to me. It belonged to my friend. He said, but I ain't going to be no snitch. I'm going to take the rap for my friend. He said, I looked my son in his face and said, you going to do time for another dude? He used that dude, but you know what word he used. This code of I ain't gonna snitch now, but you know it doesn't belong to you. So you're going to take away from your family the joy of your presence for another dude you just met in the streets so that you can have some street credit around a bunch of broke, jokers that have no direction in their life. So you can look good around these broke jokers whose life ain't going nowhere. But you want some street credit around a bunch of other people who don't own nothing, who ain't got nothing, who ain't doing nothing, and who ain't going nowhere. I have yet to understand that when it comes to young men. Why is it that you won't speak up and tell the truth? Now, that's one thing about me. I ain't taking credit for nothing. I'm going to tell the truth. Well, you're going to lose your credibility. I don't give a boy credibility. What are you talking about? Credibility. And everybody in here ain't even got credit. You can't finance water, but you're talking about some credibility. Calm down, Bishop. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go off like that. But I teach high school kids, and they always come up with this broke sense of credibility and this broke sense of what's the word I'm looking credit, street cred, but loyalty. That's the word, loyalty. You're more loyal to them than you to your own mama who pushed you out of her body. You're more loyal to them than you are to your grandmama who laying on her face crying out to God for your salvation. You're more loyal to them than your father who gets up every day, go to work, put in these hours, deal with all of this negativity, deal with all of this deceit in the workplace, trying to put food on the table for you, but you want to say you want to deal, you want more credibility with them than with people that will lay their life down for you, who will lay their life down for real. Not just for play stuff. For I've yet to understand that. I don't understand it for the life of me. But I digress because I said, well, what does a man look like? And so our picture of a man came from Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, when he says, let us make man in our image and after our likeness. And then he said this, let him have dominion. He gave you the outline of what a real man should look like. And that's what we started at last week. He said, let us make man after our image. And I told you last week that the word image means presence. There's a certain presence that a real man is supposed to bring to a situation. There's a certain presence a real man brings to his community. There's a certain presence that a real man brings to his family. And to teach that presence, I talked about this song with my wife when she was in the praise worship. She says, the presence of the Lord is here. You know, it was torture. My wife, it was torture, and I know it really was. Best she could with the one track that we had, and we led the presence of the Lord. But what presence did God bring to our home? He brought security. He brought safety. He brought confidence. He brought encouragement. The presence of God brings clarity. There should be no question of whether my dad gonna be here or he's not gonna be here. It should be clear. I know for a doubt about my daddy gonna be here. Whether y'all ain't gonna, daddy gonna be here, because the presence of God brings a sense of clarity. So a man should bring that presence to his home. A man should bring a presence of safety to his home. A man should bring a presence of security to his home. A man should bring a presence of providing to his home. Notice I didn't put an amount on that, because providing is global. Sometimes you may be at a place where you need to provide. You need to be the family, and your wife may be the breadwinner for a moment in time in your life. That may be what you're dealing with right now. Don't be sitting there at home playing video games all day, sitting around twiddling your toe, feeling sorry for yourself. No, be in PTA meetings. Be at the school. Go to the counselor. Help the child with the homework. Now, my children don't ever want me to help them with homework, because I'm a little impatient at times. And so my wife was the homework person, but I did all the stuff. Go to more of the stuff than just football practice. Go to the outing, the birthday parties, because your wife can't go right now. So you do the doctor's appointment. Bishop, I had to do that at one time in my home. I had to go to the doctor's appointment. I had to go to the physical therapy appointments. I had to go out and I had to go to the dentist appointments. I had to do that. So you're providing the void that your home needs at the time. That's what the presence of God does. Where there's a void, the presence of God fills the void. So make your man in our image. In our image. So in an image, he said his presence. Then he gives you step 2. And he said, make him after our likeness. What is God like? If you had to describe what God was like, what would you say? Who he big? Big is such an abstract adjective. But if you had to use concrete terms to define what God is like, because he said, make man in our image, that's the presence. And he said, make him after our likeness. That's the character part. Presence, likeness. So now he's talking about how man should, your character, what man should exemplify, your nature, the likeness of man. So what is God like? What is he like? Here's the thing. I think I think God is like. And I think the best way is in Galatians chapter 5, verse 22. It says the fruit of the Spirit is love. I think God is love. I think God is joy. God is peace that surpasses all understanding. God is patient. He's very patient. God is kind. And one of my favorite things I know, God is good. But here's the thing, I really know that the character of God, if I had to anchor the character of God, he's faithful. He's faithful. Listen, he is faithful. So that's the character that man should exemplify. So let's talk about this, and this is where we're ending. Now we're going to take a couple of weeks to break each one of those down because that's a lot. That's a lot. Because see, one of the things my wife used to tell me a long time ago, she said, honey, your definition of luxury is not the same definition of everybody's definition of luxury. Case in point. That was I'm trying to see how can I tell this story without revealing who's in the story. We went out of town with some friends back when we were in our 20s. And the friend was describing where we were going to stay. And the way he described it, it was like, wow, like, okay, all right, okay. When we got there, it was nothing like what he had said. It was a person's, it was like we stayed in an outhouse. And it was a curtain down the middle. My wife, she can verify the story. There's like a curtain down the middle of the room. So they slept on one side and they wanted my wife and I sleep on the other side. And I don't even think it was a bathroom. It was like a shower curtain for the bathroom. And then it was like right next to the cemetery. It was the most horrible experience I'd ever experienced in my entire life. I was real. It was awful because a person's definition of luxury wasn't my definition of luxury. Even though what he was saying, I was like, okay. But when I went, it was not that. So I want to define each one of those. What is love? What is joy? What is peace? And so let's talk about this one called love. If you want to know the real character of a man, A man should be the example of love. And one of the things I always try to base this off, because people they really be like, well, so what do you mean by love? I mean, I don't know what are you talking about when you said love. God said it the best, because somebody asked him, like, what was all the most important commandments? And God told him, and Jesus told him, he said, listen, he said, love the Lord your God with all your mind, soul, and strength. And then this is what he said, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Nobody in their right mind would do harm to themselves. So, brothers, why do you do harm to each other? Nobody would purposely talk about themselves in a derogatory way. Like, you would never say, he's lazy. I know you would never say, I'm lazy. I'm sorry. I'm no good. I'm not good at all. I suck. I was a horrible player. I suck at my job. I'm horrible at my job. I'm a loser. I'm broke. I'm a nobody. Nobody in their right mind will say that about themselves. Whenever you're trying to talk to someone about yourself, you're going to always show the best parts of yourself. The best parts of yourself. The best parts of yourself. Right? I'm nice with this. I'm good at I'm nice with this. That's what it means about love your neighbor as yourself. When you're talking about someone else, your brother, who you know the struggles of men. We know the struggles. We know the struggles. We know it ain't easy to get certain jobs. We know it ain't easy to be in certain rooms. We know it ain't easy to serve on certain boards. So then why would we tear another brother down? Because, see, the character of God is love. You know what? Let me ask you a question. Everything you've done in life, have you been perfect at it? Like, I mean, flawless. Flawless. Like, I'm good at it. No, I can't say that. I know that there's something that I did it. Somebody could have did it better, but I did the best I could with what I had, with the knowledge and the situation I had at that time. And if somebody would have judged me based on that, they would have been like, but I knew I was giving my best. I was giving my all at that moment. Here's what I'm saying. Just when you see another brother falter, or you see another brother coming up short, we shouldn't put our mouth on that brother. You don't know what that brother is dealing with. You don't know what that brother, you don't know everything about him. You don't know. You don't know. Just think about this. One of my favorite scriptures in the Bible says that God gave his love towards us, that even while we were yet in sin, Christ died for us. Listen, even while you did not deserve him, he gave you the best of him. When you didn't deserve him, he gave you his best. When you didn't deserve it. Why not treat our brothers like that? Why not? I'm going to give them a pass. Because the worst thing we could do is tear apart a community by putting our mouth on our brother. So I'm going to deal with each one of these on the next couple of weeks, okay? We'll come back next week. We're going to talk about joy. Get some of this mean stuff out of the hood. So I want to give everybody this free gift from our ministry, from George Johnson Ministry, as I close. I want everybody to have lunch on me. Happy Father's Day to all of the fathers. Happy Father's Day to you guys, man. I'm telling you, it's going to be an amazing Father's Day for you. So for my gift to you guys, have lunch on me Sunday. All you got to do is show up to this place right here, Chick-fil-A. So you got to do on Sunday, June 16th. There it is, 2024. We eat free. Lunch on me, guys. Lunch on the bishop. Thank me later. Thank me later. God bless you guys. I'll see you on Sunday, my wife and I will be on Sunday. Oh, I wanted to talk a little bit about our show, but I think I'm over my time. We'll talk more about that on Sunday. We'll talk a little bit more about our show on Sunday. And God bless you guys. We'll see you guys on Sunday.